Right now, on every continent, billions of cells inside you are flinching. Your skin is bracing. Your gut is clenching. And you have no idea it's happening. Because evolution buried the response so deep you can't even feel it anymore. You're not a finished product. You are a museum. Every nerve, every reflex, every strange involuntary twitch in your body is a fossil from a creature you used to be, millions of years before you were ever human. And tonight we're going to dig a few of them up. Start with the one everyone's felt and almost nobody questions: goosebumps. You get cold or scared, or you hear a song that hits just right and the tiny hairs on your arm stand up. Watch what's actually happening underneath. A muscle attached to the base of every hair on your body, called the erector pili, contracts and pulls the hair upright. In you, this does almost nothing. Your body hair is too short and too thin to trap meaningful heat. But this reflex wasn't built for you. It was built for an ancestor covered in thick fur. When that animal got cold, the same muscles fired, the fur stood up, and a layer of warm air got trapped against the skin like natural insulation. When that animal felt threatened, the same reflex fired again, puffing the fur out to look bigger to a predator, deciding whether you were worth the fight. We lost the fur. Nobody told the muscles. So now, millions of years later, you get a chill watching a film score swell, and your body still tries to fluff up fur that hasn't existed on a human for over 1 million years. The strange part is how indiscriminate the trigger is. Cold, fear, music, awe, even certain memories can all flip the same ancient switch. Or take the moment something drops near a baby's head and its arms suddenly fling outward, then snap back to its chest, fingers curling like it's grabbing something. Doctors call it the Moro reflex. And every single infant on Earth does it automatically, no matter where they're born, no matter what culture raised them. For decades, this looked like a random startle response, a glitch in a brand new nervous system. Then, researchers looked closer at primates. Baby primates cling to their mother's fur constantly. If the mother moves suddenly, or if the infant feels itself losing its grip and falling, that exact motion, arms thrown wide, then grabbing inward, is the reflex that catches a tree branch or grips a handful of fur before gravity wins. Human infants haven't ridden on a furry parent in a very, very long time, but the wiring still assumes they might. Every time a newborn flings its arms out at a loud noise, it is performing an instinct built for a world with branches, not bassinets. Psychologist Arne Oman ran a series of experiments showing people images of snakes, spiders, flowers, and mushrooms, all flashed for a fraction of a second, far too fast to consciously register. People's skin conductance, a direct measure of fear response, spiked specifically for the snakes and spiders, even though the viewers couldn't say what they'd seen. Flowers and mushrooms, nothing. The brain has a faster pathway for some shapes than others, and it isn't random. For tens of millions of years, every primate that wasn't fast enough to flinch at a coiled shape in the grass didn't get a second chance to learn the lesson. The slow learners were edited out of the gene pool one bite at a time. You inherited the nervous systems of the ones who flinched first and asked questions later. This is why a coiled garden hose in dim light can make your stomach drop for half a second before logic catches up. Logic is the new tenant. Fear got there first, and it still answers the door faster. Now look lower. Look at your toes the next time you stub one, hard, in the dark. Some people's toes curl downward and grip, almost like they're trying to grab the floor. That's not random clumsiness. It's a leftover prehensile reflex, a faint echo of an ancestor whose feet were built for climbing, where curling the toes around a branch was the difference between staying in the tree and falling out of it. Most humans have lost the ability to consciously grip with their toes the way our hands grip. But under sudden stress, the old wiring sometimes fires anyway for half a second before the modern foot remembers it's standing on flat ground instead of bark. Some researchers have even pointed to babies as proof. A newborn's grip reflex is strong enough to support its own body weight, hands and feet both, for several seconds. That's not a skill any human child is taught. It's a holdover from a world where being able to hang on immediately with no training at all was the difference between life and a long fall. Here's a stranger one, hiding in your face. Make a disgusted expression right now. Notice what your nose and upper lip do. They scrunch upward, your eyes narrow, your nostrils partially close. Researchers studying facial expressions across dozens of unconnected cultures, including isolated tribes with no exposure to Western media, found this exact expression appears everywhere, identical, automatic. The going theory is that disgust evolved specifically to physically shut down the routes that spoiled food or toxins could enter your body. Narrowing the eyes reduces exposure. Closing the nostrils reduces how much you inhale. Curling the lip protects the mouth. Your face isn't expressing an emotion so much as performing an old defensive maneuver, one your ancestors needed long before they had any language to describe why they were doing it. You'll make the exact same face at spoiled milk and at a morally repugnant act, because the brain recycled an old food safety reflex into a tool for judging people, reusing hardware instead of building something new. Even your hearing carries fossils. Stand in a quiet room and listen. If a sudden sound comes from your left, your head turns toward it before you've decided to turn it. This is called the orienting reflex, and it isn't unique to you. It runs through almost the entire animal kingdom. The reason is brutally simple. In the natural world, sudden, unexpected sound usually means one of two things: something to eat or something that wants to eat you. Either way, the animals that turned immediately and looked got more chances to live than the ones that took a moment to think it over. You don't decide to turn your head at a crash behind you. Something much older than your conscious mind decides for you in a fraction of a second, the same way it's decided for every vertebrate for 500 million years. It's the same reflex that makes a sudden loud noise in a movie theater turn 300 heads at once, in perfect unison, like a single organism. Even though every person in that room knows, consciously, it's just a speaker. There's a reflex hiding in your jaw too. One most people have actually felt without knowing what it was. Bite down hard, clench your jaw, and notice the tension that runs all the way up the sides of your skull. And then there's the one that might be the strangest of all, because it isn't about danger or food. It's about falling asleep. Almost everyone has experienced the hypnic jerk, that sudden full-body twitch right as you're drifting off, sometimes paired with the sensation of falling. One theory, still debated but compelling, traces it back to an old primate sleeping pattern. Tree-dwelling primates sleeping in branches needed a built-in check, a reflex that fires the moment muscles relax too much, just in case relaxing meant losing your grip and falling out of the tree. The jerk isn't a malfunction. It might be a safety check left running long after the branches disappeared, still firing every single night for an emergency that, for you, will never come. Some researchers have noted that the falling sensation itself is the giveaway. Of all the things your dreaming brain could invent in that half second, it almost always invents the exact same fall, as if the script was written long before you were the one acting it out. None of these reflexes are decisions. None of them are things you learned. They were already loaded into you before you were born, written into the same body that also gave you fingerprints and a heartbeat, because somewhere in your evolutionary past, each one of them kept an ancestor alive long enough to have the next ancestor and the next all the way down to you. You didn't choose to flinch at the spider, curl your toes in the dark, or jerk awake right as you fell asleep. Something far older than you chose it. A few 100,000 bites and falls and freezing nights at a time, and then it simply never got deleted. So the next time your arm hair stands up for no reason, or your head snaps toward a sound before you've thought about it, understand what's actually happening. You're not glitching, you're remembering. Your body is a layered record of every single thing that almost killed your ancestors, written not in words but in muscle and nerve and reflex. And every twitch is a tiny resurrection of a creature that hasn't existed in millions of years, using your body, just for a second, to do the one thing it was built to do: stay alive.